We want to thank you for joining us today here at We want to thank you for joining us today here at... Oh, shut up. I'm going to get it. We want to thank you here for joining us today here. So, moving on to our other, to our next, what the hell is this shit again? Moving on to our next, what? As well as the entered, as well as, so that we... Do you think I could do radio?
You have to pay for it.
Oh, God, I hate you.
What's new?
Because I need therapy.
Can you tell the difference in the quality of the video?
Unfortunately, yes, you can see your face clear.
What are you doing?
I am standing because I am getting swamp ass.
Dude, the one cheek sneak doesn't work when everybody's staring at you. Did you not notice I increased the size significantly?
No,
oh my goodness.
I'm also dyslexic, Gert.
What?
The system is down.
Is it?
If you have any feedback, other tips and tricks, or topics you'd like to discuss, please send them to us.
Hello.
Isn't it? The best information is not found in taverns or inns, you guys, but inside of Seedy dives. Stick around. Today we're going to delve into how to create a Seedy dive for your Dungeons and Dragons stories and campaigns, for your more unscrupulous characters to gather information or just pass the time. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your co-host, Brandon.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure. I'm super excited. Today's topic is going to be so much fun, you guys. You guys have created inns in taverns, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever written out a seedy one that's designed specifically for the rogues and the criminals and because we do like thieves guilds, right? Those are pretty common.
More like I use those in the module, but so yes, but no.
I've never made a CD dive.
Well, you guys are missing out because who doesn't want to get more use out of thieves camp or the criminal background or just more sketchy shit.
I'm now flashing back to an Adventure League game where one player freaked out, where he said, "Guys, I read the Thieves Can't graffiti that says beware of this person." Me. Doesn't that say beware of the person in charge of security? Someone who knows Thieves Can't want to beware of that person?
Beware of the
good
cop. So, to kind of walk through this, we do have the full details on our website at critacademy.com/blog. You can find the mating show notes. We are going to be using the broken joint as one of our examples.
It's funny.
But
Andrew, I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but he says, time for my Sunday evening bowl of green and D&D show, and I'm pretty sure he's talking about marijuana.
that's what it sounds like.
Which is
I'm guessing-
amazing.
I guess he's not talking about salads.
And
You just said broken joint.
perfect. So I do want to say that those little things, the green bowl, the stench, those are little things that can turn your seedy dive into a very real place, right?
Roger. If the joint is broken, re-roll it.
So I want to introduce you to the broken joint. And this is from a Frederick Astley, an adventurer who visited the broken joint. Now, you don't have to do these when you're designing yours, but having a third-person writing based on it that you can introduce to your characters when they're going to it for the first time can really set the tone. So, it's my first time encountering the six-legged panther of the Feywild. Pearl claims that if I can win, then my debt will be clear. Shouldn't be too hard. I've defeated zombies, wild beasts, and so much more. How hard could a large cat with tentacles be?
Oh, okay.
Either way, my love, after this battle, you and our children will be safe from the whistlers.
Isn't it this place beast?
Safe.
So, right off the bat,
I'll tell you where they're not.
safe. So overall, we start off by using this kind of scene setter, right, for the details. And we don't always do that, but could you imagine finding something like this just on an adventure, right? Just finding something on an adventure that's wrapped in a corpse, perhaps the corpse of a dungeon adventurer you already are, running a dungeon and find this. So it really sets the tone of this person. You don't know the name of the person, but you do get a name, right? So what did we learn from this one little line?
That he's going to go battle a displacer beast that he does not know it's a displacer beast.
Because he doesn't call it that, right?
Right.
And I'm sure I didn't write it that way so that I don't get sued by Wizards of the Coast for using an IP that's tagged for it. No, but that's the point, right? The person is going to fight this creature. They don't know what it is. So there's a sense of mystery. There's obviously an arena somewhere. So you're already the fact that it talks about cutting off his debt, I think, is also critical to making it feel like it's an
And the threats against the family.
Yes.
Ooh, I like this. Andrew says, my demon has done this. Steve's can't gave us locations, which was a secret entrance, and we met lots of people who lost one or both of their hands from the local trap vault, which they need to break into soon.
Yes. So we've kind of set the scene. So when you're designing this, you want start with a good overall theme, an overall concept. What do you think the overall concept of the broken joint is based on that short little read?
People who run out of pot.
Pain, okay.
People that run out of pot. You say broken joint, all I can think is marijuana.
Well, we're talking about somebody fighting something, right? So there's
Yep.
some sort of underground arena going on, right?
Yep.
And that's a pretty common trope, right?
Just literally like broken joint, as in someone's grabbed your arm in a grapple and went.
And there's more to it than that, but I'm not going to get too much into it. So first thing you're going to do when designing your overall concept for your CD dive is when designing an interesting CD dive, you first need to include details on its name and what draws people to it, and of course, an interesting owner. Those are the things you want to start off with first, right? So what do you guys, if following that, what are some ideas you guys can throw around that you think would fall into those categories?
Honestly, the first thing that came to mind for me was a specific mission. We had to kill a creature was what came to mind, not necessarily an arena. But I could see how you could pull an arena from that without any problems.
Yep.
Obviously, that was the intention, but
Mhm.
that's not. But that also shows how other people's minds can go different places too.
Yep. What about you?
This is making me think it could be a hunting club.
Okay, that could be cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what, kind of similar vein.
Yep. So
Yeah.
the Broken Joint in this case is a tap room and arena for thugs, soldiers, adventurers, and pretty much anyone interested in testing their metal. Now, because it's an underground establishment, it needs to be run by somebody scrupulous and evil, right?
Yeah.
It's run by Pearl Kettlewhistle, a female halfling. That doesn't
Nice.
sound very unscrupulous, does it?
No,
Nope.
but when he said Pearl Kettle Whistle, I was like, that sounds like a halfling name.
Well, yeah, it is supposed to be, right? So she's the creator. So now we've got a theme. We're going with an underground arena for training, right? That's what it sounds like. And it also, based on the letter that we wrote, the brief 2 or 3 sentences, that it also is tied to some sort of debt collection, right?
Yep.
So either if you can't collect on or pay on your debt, maybe you enter this arena to pay it off for entertainment to raise money, right?
Or they break your fingers.
Or they break your fingers or remove them entirely. So now that we've kind of set the scene, we've given it an NPC. We haven't fleshed her out, right? We just kind of have a general idea. But one of the first things you think of that sets a tavern or inn apart, what would you say that is?
Safety.
Safety?
What they serve.
Ah, yes, my man. What they serve. Yes.
People.
Think of Demolition
Pain.
Man.
What?
You ever seen Demolition Man?
Not in a long enough time to remember. Is that the one
No.
with
So, Stallone, right?
Stallone. Then there's in the sewers like, oh yeah, you smell that? And it goes and it gets a burger. It's like, oh, it's so good. It's like, that's disgusting. It's like, why? You see any cows around here? It's like, what's it made of? And they say rat in Spanish. He's like, this is rat. This is rat burger?
Tastes pretty good.
Very good.
So, food and drinks, right? And the more unique you can make them, the better. For drinks, we chose Frosted Buzzer, a nutty tasting ale with whipped topping from Cormier. So tied it into a specific location in the Forgotten Realms. That is a really great way to include flavor that can tie back to your characters, right? In this case, it's Cormier, but it could just as easily be something that one of your characters is familiar with, right?
Yep.
What are some ideas outside of that you would do for like food?
Artisanal cheeses.
Ooh, cheese is good.
Say, dirty dishwater.
Dirty dishwater.
that's just the name of a shot. That's it.
So, so
Food. Rat burger.
rat burger. That works.
Rat
But
on a
that stands
stick.
out, right?
When I ran one of our adventures from the expeditions, one of my players at the con basically spent all of his money on an item, and he's like, "Oh crap! I want to get information at the bar, but I want to buy something to drink, but I have no money." So he rolled, found to be copper, and he ended up buying basically some bottom shelf of liquor. And there was one point where he was trying to get information from the bartender, and the bartender went, "I don't remember. You might have to refresh my memory, but I have no money. But I remember he bought the bottom shelf stuff, and I ended up saying, as a bartender, I'll tell you what. If you can drink that, then I will tell you information."
Give me a
Challenge.
con save, DC 20. Go for it.
That is a perfect segue into the next thing I want to talk about. Aside from food and drinks,
Yep.
illegal drugs is a good one. Fantasy, not real, right? And that smell should be known, right?
Yep.
You walk into the setting, and instantly the smell of ember moss, a very much potent hallucinogen, really just rushes through you. But the other thing is services. What are some services that would stand out in a very unscrupulous seedy dive?
Gambling.
Gambling? That's a good one.
I'm sorry. Just what's this rainbow dust? That's unicorn farts. It's delicious. It'll make you see pretty colors.
Taste the rainbow.
Oh no! Did you guys ever? I don't want to get in the segue, but there was a scene with the what is the Legends of Tomorrow? They were traveling through time and stuff, and they end up finding this unicorn that spears people. It uses a hallucinogenic like vision or dust to make people think it's beautiful and everything, and it charges toward them. They're ready, running towards it, and it spears them with their horn. And then when you see it, it's like undead and everything, and just disgusting.
Andrew once again says he had a community that showed people in serious debt from gambling by magically tattooing their hands. If you couldn't conceivably pay off your debt, you can remove some or all the debt, but the same percent of your debt you're writing off is the same percentage of the tattoo hand that you lose.
Roger's got one I want to touch on here. Murder contract
That
negotiations
makes
is a
me
good
think
one.
of the
So
beginning of
assassination,
Deadpool.
got it.
Yes, right?
Makes me think of the beginning of Deadpool. How they have the Deadpool
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly like that.
That's exactly what it
That makes it stand out as a seedy dive. So you want to do that. Hiring prices of different adventuring, sketchy adventurers, right?
Dulcinea. My game says a whiskey called Wellfinder that is so strong that a failed con save means that you instantly black out and run for the nearest source of water.
That can make a latrine.
If there's not enough blood on the floor, it's not seedy enough.
If it's
Hitmen,
not sticky,
sex
it's not
workers,
seedy enough.
poison crafters is a good one. So not your seedy dive doesn't have to have all these things, but picking one or two that makes it special is a really good thing to do.
What are you buying?
There's another thing that
What are
really
you
makes
selling?
seedy dives stand out from like a tavern or inn. Ian mentioned gambling. That's pretty common, I would say, around the more regular stuff. But we really want to enhance the divergence. Each inn and tavern should always have games, challenges, or some sort of entertainment, right?
Yep.
So in the Broken Joint, we have Orc's Eye. Guess what that is? It's darts, but with daggers. And instead of it being a bullseye, it's literally a body of an orc. Or like an orc's head or an entire full body thing. And you can then have the characters roll ranged attacks competitively, best 2 out of 3, to see how many points they can give or get.
Part of me also thinks, how often do they have to replace the orc's head? Followed by, where does the head come from?
I totally was just thinking of a drawing or a carving, but clearly you imagined a literal orc head slammed onto the wall.
That's what I was thinking. Like it's hanging from its ponytail or something.
Or a
You're like
skull.
throwing all the daggers.
Does that make it better? Because you go down to the end and you, whoop, and you start swinging it back and forth, making it harder to hit.
Literally hanging from a chain.
Or could be an orc skull.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's bad. That's brutal. But those are the things that would make it very, very seedy, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's pretty seedy.
maybe they got an extra. I challenge you this. What's this? He brings out a tiny halfling and is hanging it for the same thing. This is Thieves' Eye. He's still moving. It's because I'm alive, you idiots! And he's just swinging there as the people are throwing at him, right?
I'm not dead yet.
All right. So the next thing, aside from diversions, in the Broken Joint, we have Scrap Arena, right?
Oh, Dulcinea. If you have an orc or a half-orc player, they can be fed with replacing the target.
I really like that. So, obviously, diversions is something really important that you want to include in your CD dive that makes it stand out, whether it's the Scrap Arena, which is the one-on-one PvP scenario, or Monster Arena, which is not exactly legal because you're bringing dangerous creatures into the city, right?
Cockfighting.
Well, it'd be Cockler Trice fighting, right? Which is way worse. So, when doing the CD dive, layout becomes pretty important too, right?
Sure.
You want things that really just stand out for the players. So every location needs a layout. CD dives aren't any different, really. So something to always consider when doing a CD dive is there's lots of secrets. There's exits. There's traps. There's things that can protect the things that are of value, right?
Definitely.
So what are some things that we could do that would really make it stand out to the thieves in the group? People who know thieves can't, for instance.
As we kind of touched on earlier to a degree, you can probably make the entrance to the sea dive trapped, but you can understand how to bypass the trap if you read Thieves' Cant. But if you do it wrong, well, you might need a new hand.
That's a good one. I also, what about you, Brandon?
I'm drawing a blank. You gotta hang on. Just go ahead.
Well, I thought you were a good drawer.
Run,
Why don't you
hamster,
draw a
run!
blank? His wheel is. I could see the wheel turning through his eyes, and the thing's like, I need a break. I've been working too hard.
Ooh.
Okay, so one thing that comes to mind to me, Ian, I think, is on the right track, though I think the trap shouldn't harm the people that enter it. I think having a glyph of warding that has like a charm spell stored in it, right? So when somebody that walks in that isn't supposed to be there, they get charmed into thinking it's something else. What do you think about that?
That's
Or they get
sneaky.
charmed to thinking, oh, right, I had an appointment, and leave.
Oh, that's good. So they just turn around and leave and never even come in.
Yeah.
That's really good. And the thieves' cant is how you avoid that. It gives you instructions, right? Right at the entrance before they even get in. I think that that's a great idea.
What's this can't say? Do not touch the doorknob. Knock twice and whistle.
Oh, I love that. Maybe the doorknob has like one of those little poison needles. They grab it and it pokes them and knocks them unconscious. And then some of the people walk out. Oh, Bill, another one grabbed the doorknob. Let's drag them out back. And everyone always wakes up in this little alley and not know where they're there.
Or I was gonna say that's where the meat comes from.
Oh, God. That's grody.
What?
I was like swinging
Yeah.
Todd, but hey.
Like it's, let's say it's like in a sewer, hiding in a sewer somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and people that are not welcome, as they pass through a glyph or some sort of field of magic,
Mm-hmm.
That maybe you could do like some sort of a perception
Mm-hmm.
check with it, maybe a really high DC based on the magic users. But the moment they walk through it, because they're getting so close to the entrance to the joint or broken joint, it flips them physically around, but they don't notice it. So they're heading back in the direction they came.
That is so funny you mentioned that because in the broken joint, Pearl has wasted no efforts ensuring that her establishment is protected and has spent thousands of golds to place several permanent guards and ward spells, which basically creates illusions that lead you into walking in circles for hours. So
Yeah.
that is a really good idea. Fortunately, I thought of it.
Apparently.
If you haven't used the Guards and Wars spell in D&D, you are missing out. There is nothing more fun than putting that shit at the beginning of an entrance for those trying to get out. Because then they never do. Great way to waylay the enemies. So, like, it turns it into like a... you ever played Zelda where you're running through the field and you go... or running through the little... forest and you go out into one
lost
doorway
woods.
and then
Yeah.
you end up just keep going in circles if you're not listening to the sound.
Yeah,
It's a lot like
bullshit.
that, and I think it's really good. So, what is something else you guys think that would really make entering in this feel seedy
The characters, not the player characters, but the NPCs,
that are inside? Ooh, that's a good one. Personalities.
because you're probably not going to find very many paladins or clerics or
The
holy
constant.
warriors of some
I was just
sort.
say the constant throb being left in the kidneys.
I think you guys are right on track. I think personalities is a big one because when we go into taverns or inns, yeah, there's adventurers in the corner, but having people, flipping blades that are still coated in fresh blood, or exchanging and buying and selling slaves.
Accidentally licking your poisoned knife with a threat.
I shouldn't have licked that.
Just fall to the ground. Yeah.
Andrew, because in my time in the Navy, I spent a lot of time at bar hopping and
Mhm.
stuff in Seattle, and having a tab kind of sucks. Sometimes you wish you could just slip away. Open bar tabs with magic runes drawn onto a character that prevents them from leaving the place without paying.
Oh, that is excellent. I love it. Like what is there is illusionary writing or illusionary script maybe could be imbued with that and it won't ever go away. So they can hunt you down. Maybe you can still leave, but they'll know where you go.
Or the bar tab shapes itself into an origami bird that constantly flies of you. It pecks you in the eyes until you pay the bar tab.
Oh no.
Ow, ow, ow. Okay, God.
Make it stop. Andrew has a really good point. A very rough looking doorman would make it seem a little seedier. But I think the more seedy ones are the ones that are more welcoming. Like you, mister. Why don't you come on in? We have a wonderful challenge inside for you. Now, she's clearly alluding to, like, the arena. But that's the thing. You want to suck them in, too.
Nothing but the cabaret club from that one episode of The Simpsons.
I'm not. There's so many episodes of Simpsons, dude.
I don't remember.
Since
that
I
one.
was a kid. So...
Bart was the doorman for a while.
that just sounds weird. Eat my shorts, man.
The best part of the episode was when Grandpa Simpson walked in, put his hat in the door,
Oh, yeah.
walked in, saw Bart was the doorman, turns around,
The
puts his hat back
it
out
was
and leaves.
it was the burlesque house.
Yes.
Episode.
So those are some really good examples. Less seedy, a little more creepy, but hey, So the one thing you want to make sure you do, if you don't flesh out any of the other NPCs, I think making them worn and injured and severely they've been around a while. Because when you go to a tavern or an inn, most of the people are local farmers, and with here and there, a rough and tumble rogue, but everyone should really be just off the
You
wall.
could start a really good adventure or a hook with that. You see a seedy, shady-looking man sitting at the bar. He's sweating and panting. You see half a cup on one of his arms, and the other half just dangling with a hand in it.
Oh no, that's what I'm talking about. That's awesome. That's so seedy. Like, who's gonna walk up? You need a hand? It makes it stand out. And so, even if you can't give entire personalities to all the NPCs, fleshing out the owner of the establishment who has an invested interest, giving them a good physical description, a brief history. For Pearl Kettle Whistle, for example, 13 years ago, Pearl and her adventuring party broke apart a thieving crew planning a complex robbery in what is now called the Broken Joint. She literally stole their hideout and turned it into a place of business, even though she used to be a adventurer, right?
Yep. Now think about a coffee shop I went to once in Mount Pleasant, where the coffee shop used to be a thrift store,
Mm-hmm.
but then the owner then just cleared the room, put in tables, and left everything else as is.
That's funny. I like that. So the other thing that you need to give your guild, your
Seedy joint.
CD joint owner is goals and motivations, right?
Mhm.
Because this is really what's going to drive the CD aspect of the story, right? So for Pearl here, she's the owner. She's responsible for all contracts that come through. So she's seeking to build a more reliable agency than rough and tumble thieves guilds, right? So there's a need there, right? Regardless if it's a bounty hunter, assassination, or just bodyguard, she is responsible for overseeing all parties involved in a construct to uphold the end of their agreement.
Ooh, Andrew, if it's not a hidden place, but like openly scummy, but the town can't do anything about it, they could have dangerous-looking exotic mounts tied up out front that are typically used by good people.
Ooh, I like that, especially
That's
like
a beautiful
undead
horse.
mounts.
That's a nice. Is that a raptor?
No, or like a nightmare, right? A flaming horse.
Is that a water buffalo?
Oh, dude, it's on fire. So that's a really good example. So here, Pearl's goal is somewhat an organization, right? To keep everything honest.
Ish.
The deal may be sketchy as hell, but you better abide by their agreement. Otherwise, her whistlers are going to come after you, which are her personal expert mercenary organization. So that is the other part that makes the seedy. She runs an entire operation on her. Sure, she's going to make sure that you're following the contract to the letter. And what happens when the players accept a contract and don't follow it?
Look, we may be scumbags, but we have rules.
Yes, very much like that. And that's kind of what Pearl is trying to do in this seedy dive, right?
Yep.
If something needs doing, you can find people to do it. And if they don't do it, the whistlers are going to come for them.
Yep. You might want to pay your debt. And why's that? Do you see these cuts on the bar?
So, I like that. So the last thing I think that really makes a seedy dive is a story or a hook that the players can latch onto, right? So I want to give you
Hook
just
hands.
one example, a couple of examples. So what do we know about our current seedy bar, the Broken Joint, right now? Kind of what is its purpose besides just getting drunk and
seems
drugs?
lawful evil.
Okay.
Arenas or contracts.
Okay. Running an arena, right?
They might even have rules for contracts, like these specific people are off limits. We can't hunt them down for
Ooh, that's
political
good.
purposes or something.
So that's more like
Yeah.
bodyguards type stuff where, okay, you can hunt people, but if this happens to these people that we have other contracts with, you're screwed. I like that.
We can't kill that guy. Why? Because he owes us money. So, well, if you kill him, he can't pay us back. No kidding.
That goes to you.
Oh, I love that. Assassins who take out other targets that are protected by Pearl and the Whistlers. You take their debt. Could you imagine that? If the players take out an evil person who was under the protection of Pearl and the Whistlers, and now
that's how
that
they meet the
debt,
Whistlers?
yes, and now that debt has been passed to you, and they are trying to collect. And at first, they approach casually. Hey, I just want you to know that Baron you took out was under our protection. What do you think as players you're going to say?
Well, crap.
Okay, maybe.
Do a better job.
That's a good one. Some might say I don't care. Too bad. They're bad. They had to die.
Sorry, Ellie.
Sorry, Ellie.
If you touched him before, give the group a trademark whistle.
Ooh.
Imagine the reaction players might have if they suddenly hear it in the alley before they get shanked.
I'm very familiar with one of my favorites.
Kill Bill.
Yeah.
I was thinking initially the Hunger Games franchise.
Oh, that works too. That's where they do the mock what was it?
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay. So those are really good.
Something I thought about. I know I referenced this on the show a while back, but one of my all-time favorite moments, and this could work very well for this scenario too, is you guys seen John Wick 2, right?
I haven't seen.
I've only seen the first one. Oh, dude, it took me way too long to watch that.
I need to watch them.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Yeah, too bad.
John Wick kills everybody.
Yeah. In the second film, basically, John has a bounty put on him by the organization that he was working for. And he got a little cocky at the end, meeting like Winston, the character played by Ian McShane, in that park. And his response was, oh yeah, well, if it's bounty on me, why am I still alive? Then Winston looks over and says, now. Then the attendant he was pull out his cell phone, says something into it, and suddenly everybody in the park stops and turns towards them. And he simply says, because I allowed it.
That's fantastic.
I know.
That's great.
And even Keanu Reeves is like, oh crap.
I messed up. All right, so I want to get back before we close out here. I want to get back to the goals, right? So we talked about the different things they have. So test your metal. Thieves can't hidden around town is a hook that indicates upcoming monster arena battles, right? So when the players are in another tavern or they're just wandering around investigating people, they can do that. That's a hook that instantly can bring them in because it lets them not only test their strength in a controlled environment, but it also allows them to gamble a little bit and have a little fun with that. The other thing is got to catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
Pearl has found herself shorthanded and needs supply for her arena. So she's looking to contract some
These
people
trappers.
to find some. Now, why do you think that seems different and unique?
Because you actually want to bring in the monster alive to kill them.
Yes. So as the DM, you get to have fun trying to play these things escaping. That means checks to break free and attack the characters, especially if it's a long distance away and they have to travel with this thing, depending on its size. But you got to use clever spells like reduce and enlarge and stuff, right?
Okay.
Polymorph.
So, what dangerous creature do you have for me today? We have the squirrel. A squirrel? Do you want we went through to catch this thing?
Oh, that's funny. We'll answer that question in a minute, Andrew. The other thing is a contract killer. That just makes the most sense. A contract breaker has skipped town. Pearl is looking for some mercenaries that are interested in locating it, the lying coward, and return them back to the broken joint. So once again, you've got somebody that you have to return that's not a just straight up kill mission. The real question is why isn't the Whistlers taking care of it? Are they afraid? Is the person really strong? Or are they so weak and not worth it?
Probably not worth it.
That's what I said, but that's up to the GM to figure out, right?
Yep.
So what are some, before we close out here, what are some last kind of touches you think you need to add to make your Seedy dive so different from taverns and inns to really stand out?
The guy in question is a former whistler, so he knows all their tricks.
Oh, snap. That is good. That is really good. Oh, and by the way, I didn't tell you, the arena is designed to train to determine who's strong enough to be a whistler, which is great. So that also nice. That's also a tool to tie into the Thieves players and make connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very exciting. So I do want to answer Andrew's question. He says, "Do you think they're different breeds of blink dogs, like regular dogs?"
I'll see
Yes.
why not.
I had one. I've
A
had
Chihuahua blink dog.
the storm hound we made was based on the blink dog. The only difference is when it appears, it creates a thundering boom that knocks people over. You could do that with fire. You could do that with ice. You could literally just change their elements. So, all right. Do you guys got anything else for this? Anything you want to toss in there in your into the arena for one last closeout? Because if not, we'll move on.
Okay.
What?
So
I was a little controversial with slavery.
What about it?
it's an option.
Putting that in your CD dive.
Yeah, we already
Like-
talked
like,
about that.
like
but
a-
yeah.
We did.
So
Pretty
I
fun.
didn't hear that. Like
So they-
WikiLeaks.
so to reiterate, you need a name for the joint.
Mhm.
You need an overall concept. You need a specialty. You need some diversions for the players, stuff you can do there, if you will.
Mhm.
You need an overall layout for the stuff that's there, such as the entrance. You need personalities for those who are there. And you need some story hooks for the players to go off of.
And the closer you can tie them to the more unscrupulous player characters, the better.
Yep.
Something that only they would get. So, all right, that'll do it. Before we close out, I just want to say our exotic equipment perks is live, everyone, right now. As of this recording, we are at 63% funded. It's super exciting. You look like you're going to say something.
We're halfway there. Oh.
We've made a significant change to our format. Our UTTs now are separate and will be released throughout the week on YouTube and all that jazz. And our podcast will be split into two segments: our main topic and our UTT. We've only got a little bit of feedback so far, but at first the person said they didn't like it, but now that they really do. So let us know what you guys think. If you do not know what exotic equipment perks is, shame on you. It's the best way to enhance your D&D experiences, I promise. So consider backing it today. I forgot I was supposed to say that first. All right. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to support us, visit us at critacademy.com. Follow us on social media. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button right now if you're not already, please. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button right now and watch on YouTube.
It'll be better.
Currently, YouTube is the only platform that is monetarily supporting our show. So
Yeah.
the more people that watch there, the better. Isn't it? So, anything else?
Head on over to Kickstarter.
Yeah, please.
Just share it. Do everything.
Yeah, if you don't have the money to buy in,
You see this?
no. What does that got to do with exotic equipment perks?
This is my victory stogie.
You're
succeeds.
He has a victory stogie.
This-
That is the fattest thing I've ever seen. But
Isla del Sol. It's a coffee flavored cigar. I've had it once before. Don't fail me. I would like to have it again.
how long you been sitting on that?
About a week.
Oh, whatever. Anyways, so yeah, please join us. Share our content, please. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
I'm your co-host Brandon. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes. We'll see you guys.